morning. I am Ines Ashraf, a Technology and Business Solutions Manager at Advances for Engineering Services and Consultancy. I am part of the Program Committee of the Congress this year. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Jayraj Nair, Global Head of IoT at Wipro. He is a computer engineer by profession. He has a master's degree in engineering from MIT. Jayraj is driving the leadership position and role of Wipro in IoT and Industry 4.0 through strengthening its position by driving revenues and business outcomes. And he will be talking to you today about realizing business outcomes with IoT. Please welcome Mr. Jayraj on stage after this video.
I wish I had a flying car.
We're on it.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I want to fly faster.
Well, we're on it.
And I want to be the fastest person on the planet.
Oh, you'll love what we're doing at our Technovation Center in Bangalore.
Dear future, I want to know if I look good in pink.
Well, let's find out. Oh, you'll look amazing.
Can I do all my banking from right here?
Yep.
Without using my hands?
Absolutely.
Dear future, I so wish I could be at the game right now.
That's not a bad idea. Dear future, I want to make 1 million of these. What is it? It's gonna change the world.
Our engineers at the Silicon Valley Innovation Center are on it.
And I want to make every job count.
You should definitely check this out.
Dear future, I want to work for a company that values me and my community.
You'll love working with us.
That too.
At Wipro Student.
Labs in Bangalore, we're working on it. Dear future, can I borrow electricity like borrowing a cup of sugar?
At our digital pods around the world, we're making it happen.
Dear future, can you keep a secret?
The Wipro Cybersecurity Center in Plano, Texas is on it.
Dear future, I want to be more human.
Good morning. It's a great audience. Thank you for being here. Let me start by congratulating Terry, Richard, Roger Bau, and the FIRA Barcelona team for creating this 4th edition. Every year I see the transformation. I've been here, this is my 4th year on stage, and I keep looking and marveling at the way the ecosystem has grown and the adoption and implementation of IoT has grown. Let me start by introducing Wipro to you guys. Okay, just give me a second. Let me introduce Wipro to you. Pre-independence, 1945 is when Wipro was started. Vegetable oil company. India got independence in 1947. Then when I was going into college, during the 80s is when Wipro got into making computers. Mini computers, IBM was the only source of computers at that time in India. And when IBM exited, Wipro started making computers. So in the early to late 80s. In the 90s, like most Indian software companies, Wipro got into software business, systems integration services business, and it's been a ride since then. We are an $8 billion company with about 180,000 employees globally, operating in about 62 countries. These are some of the business areas that we operate in. Overall, from the $8 billion portfolio from the fiscal year 18, about 23% of it is in the manufacturing and tech sector. About 13, 14% is in E&U, or the energy and oil and gas sector, and about 12 or 13% in the HLS sector, healthcare and life sciences. These are the 3 primary sectors where we're seeing a lot of adoption of IoT technologies. So I'll kind of elaborate the services that we enable within our company and fulfill projects by doing application services. IoT and engineering services is big. It is a budding new practice area for us in IoT and Industry 4.0, but the growth rates have been significant. You heard some numbers that Jeff had mentioned about the number of projects that are coming about, the number of implementations that are happening. There is significant growth and demand from customers wanting to deploy at scale. In the last few years, we have seen the plumbing and infrastructure make progress. Now people are getting into analytics, insights, visualization, and AI technology. This is just a global footprint of where we are. You look at most of the globe is covered in terms of our engineers working on projects. The digital pods is the new area and new ways of working. Digital for us is a net new way of working. And so the team, we acquired a company, a very interesting company here in Europe called Design.it, which has a completely new way of working. The digital pods is an area, is a space, a workspace where we co-innovate with our customers and create net new solutions and create customer journeys. So we have over 25 of those pods. There is one here in Barcelona. If you're here, you should go check it out. It's a very cool workspace where cool people come to create cool ideas and to create solutions with them. One of the aspects before I delve into IoT is what are the core values that drive us? It's very important to understand that we are global, we are responsible, and we do projects with unyielding integrity. So client success is what matters. As an ecosystem, how it reflects upon all of us is basically the client and the customer's priorities matter, and we are agnostic to all the technology ingredients and the technology providers. We look out for the best interest of the customer. Let me get into IoT and digital transformation. Typically, about 3-4 years ago, when the scale of IoT deployments was just starting, there was a lot of conversation around, can I get some sense and detect capabilities instrumented into my assets, collect the data, process the data, but there was no fundamental driving force around what is the business strategy, what is the underlying outcome that you're trying to realize, what is the operations efficiencies that you're trying to bring to bear. So the strategy element of any such IoT project was not doing too well, or the emphasis was not adequate enough earlier on. As people went through this exercise of trying out different ideas, and it is frankly a very iterative process where you're not sure on what the outcome is going to be, and then you drive step at a time, discovery-led. So strategy is a key element that we focus on, technology strategy, business strategy, figuring out what is the net ROI of a program going to be. The design aspect is very important. Designing a product, especially since most products are smart and connected these days, all the ALM, PLM technologies come into bear. Emulating, simulating those products, designing them properly. It's not just about the product, it's also about the customer journey. Any IoT project that touches human beings eventually has a process and people aspect to it. How does the workflow change? How do people interact? How does the customer experience change? All those aspects have to be considered. That is the design aspect. Technology, we are fundamentally gurus in. We understand technology. We are fundamentally engineers by profession. We can stand up a reference stack like anything. But unless you do strategy and design properly, technology does not reflect and yield the results we are looking for. So it's an iterative process between strategy, design, and technology. And we as Wipro operate at the intersection of all three. Let me give a brief view of the types of solutions and projects that we have worked on. This is a broad plethora of projects, but the bulk of the projects that we see, about 125 odd projects, real scale deployments of IoT is what I'm talking about, not POCs. Those projects have been primarily in asset management, smart manufacturing, logistics management, worker health and safety. These areas are actually yielding a lot of efficiencies, bottom line improvement for our customers. In terms of, I'll just take one example of asset management. Asset management is a big set of use cases. You have maintenance efficiency use cases, you have operational efficiency use cases, you have energy efficiency use cases. Jeff mentioned all about how do you conserve energy, how do you conserve. All of that has to be either a societal impact or bottom line operational efficiency gain. So asset management is one that has been broadly adopted. Most products that are greenfield are smart and connected. Those that are not greenfield have been retrofitted or people are trying to manage because we live in a heterogeneous brownfield environment. The patient care area is another area where there's a lot of innovation that is happening. Especially you'll think that the HLS or the highly regulated healthcare sector is not primed for innovation. You'd be surprised. We have many large pharmaceutical companies, many large care providing companies that work with us in large scale projects where diagnostic machines to the tune of like 180,000 of them scattered around in hospitals around the world are connected, are smart, are remotely managed, and are providing efficient care to their customers. The entire area on the left side, which is about the smart airport, smart buildings, smart campus, that space is going through a lot of innovation, a lot of societal impact. You can come and look at some of the solutions we have for smart city and smart campuses. A lot of subsets of use cases, water management use cases, transportation use cases, multiple, it's just an aggregation of a set of use cases. So overall, very interesting times for us, a lot of projects happening, learnings, failures do happen, but we get over them and add value to our customers. What is digital transformation? There is some fundamentally different ways of working this. I got to show you this and explain that it is not the standard way of operating. We have done thousands of programs with about 1,600 plus customers over the years. Whenever it comes to digital transformation, outside in, beyond silos, and agile. Those are the three keywords you got to remember, because you never have a very defined view of where you're going to end up. A discovery-led, iterative, agile way of working is mandatory for IoT programs to succeed. In terms of collective symphony over individual theatrics, I have been in many projects where different organizations and key stakeholders do not work well together. You probably can associate with that. Everybody is in their functional silos. So in the planning process, earlier on, if you don't get all the right stakeholders in, then sometimes you're going down a wrong path. So making sure people work across teams and you build a right digital cell, a group of people who actually can understand the program and deliver to it, is very critical. I couldn't overstate it. Right digital cells yield right digital results. In terms of the ecosystem capability, I've fundamentally believed in this, and I've said that many a times that IoT is an ecosystem play. There is no one vertically integrated stack that you stand up and solve. It is about bringing all the ingredients from the edge to the cloud and solving the customer problems. And so that means you have to build partnerships, you have to collaborate. Commercial constructs are sometimes very difficult to put together when you have multiple stakeholders involved from the ecosystem. But you cannot succeed in IoT unless you can build a good partner ecosystem for your solution. Approach. I'll dwell a little bit briefly on how to solve and work a digital transformation program. It's about creating a program. The portfolio construction should be very agile, very iterative, do the as-is, do the to-be, and then the transformation plan associated with it. In terms of the execution side, rapid prototyping is the name of the game. Unless you show and tell and demonstrate value, or either a technical, functional response to what you're trying to solve, then the solution doesn't get adopted to scale. So making sure that you prototype, you solve, and you continuously deliver is the key to success. Another learning which is very important is we do operate end-to-end in the value chain. What it means is design it, build it, and run it. I'll give you some examples of customers who have deployed solutions at scale. When you run and manage hundreds of thousands of assets, then you understand the complexity of what these sensors can do to you, the amount of noise it can generate, the amount of outliers and exceptions that you're missing. How do you refine the entire program? It is about running it. When you run and operationalize it and manage those assets, then you design and build things better. That's what we do. Let me talk about the ecosystem play and call some of my friends on stage to discuss how we work with the partner ecosystem. So we work with literally everybody who's on the floor here. Lots of innovative products from Microsoft, Google, AWS, and everybody else in terms of the edge engineering, the platform engineering, even the analytics engine. We work with literally everybody. That's how we build solutions. But there are three key partners of ours where we have been working very closely. One is the Industrial Internet Consortium, and the other one is the World Economic Forum, the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution. You probably know both of those guys here who are here, Richard Soley and Jeff Merritt. Let me take a minute and invite them over to the stage. Dr. Soley, Jeff. Welcome. Very motivating session before you guys just heard Jeff speak. Hi, Richard, please. Let me start with Richard.
Whatever, we're interchangeable.
Jeff, okay. Who wants to go first?
Please go ahead.
Richard. So, Richard leads the Industrial Internet Consortium, and we've been members for a while. The key message is, Richard, it would be good for the ecosystem to understand what do we do, how do we work together?
Well, as we talked about yesterday, our focus is on test beds, as Jeff mentioned in his speech as well. Our focus is basically an understanding that nobody knows how to build these systems yet, and we have to build that expertise and share that expertise. Actually, what you're saying was exactly what we do. We announced yesterday our resource hub, which takes our results, our security framework, our connectivity framework, our reference architecture, and all the work that we've done, the white papers and the result papers from our test beds, and we publish that in a way through an AI-based front end that allows you to enter into the system information about what you're building, what sort of RFPs you want to generate for companies like Wipro, for example. And it will help you with all of that material. Will help you figure out what to do first. It will help you put together the RFPs that you need to talk to your hardware vendor, to your software vendors, to your systems integrator. So what we do is learn from building real test beds. We have about 30 test beds, as you certainly know, as the test bed king at the Industrial Internet Consortium.
What he is referring to as testbed kit, we have 4 of them. The connected worker testbed is at the very entrance to this event. Then the smart grid testbed, you have the security claims testbed, and then the deep learning testbed. So those are very interesting areas. One is focused on AI, one is focused on different. Actually, frankly, I shouldn't say AI alone because it integrates multiple technologies, blockchain, IoT, AI.
Sure.
Jeff, you had a big hit last week with the WEF Center, C4IR Center in India.
Thanks. Yeah.
Do you want to tell the audience about what the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution means?
Sure. So, you know, for those of you who heard me speak earlier, I mean, what we're really looking at is how do we shape the trajectory of IoT and connected devices in a way that leans towards the sort of benefit of society and not to sort of the detriment. Because it's not a given that these technologies are all going to just make our lives better, right? It's easy to imagine a sort of more sort of dystopian future, a sort of Black Mirror type future, right, where we waste a lot of money, we lose a lot of privacy, we create a lot of security risks. And so what we're really focused on is looking broadly at the sort of norms that we want to create across the world, the policies that are developed, and making sure that we take the same approaches that you were talking about, the exact same way that you want to build technology is a way that we need to be developing policy making and governance for the 21st century, that we can't simply develop policies where it takes us 10 years to put together something like GDPR, and by the time that it rolls out, that, you know, there's elements built in there that, for example, would make technologies like blockchain essentially illegal. Right?
When GDPR worked, it just means you have to click on a lot more I accept messages.
But so we need to change the way that we're making policy, and there's a big disconnect that a gap that we have to address between the technologists and the decision makers out there. And that's where companies like Wipro are so essential, is that you guys are sort of thinking not only about the sort of day-to-day operations, but the big picture strategy. And if we can't connect the dots there, if we can't help the decision makers who are developing strategies, who are investing money, understand the sort of implications of these technologies on their day-to-day business, we're lost.
Excellent. In fact, Richard, key takeaway for this audience about test beds, we are testing them, we're deploying them.
And learning from them, right? I mean, we're learning how to hire, who to train, how to retrain. We're learning what standards are necessary, what would have made the test beds easier to develop. As we announced yesterday, the first standards are now coming out from our test bed program. That's exactly what we're trying to do, is learn and learn, as Jeff points out, how to ensure that we've got a utopian, not a dystopian future. I hate your presentations, I'm sorry.
Excellent.
Too depressing.
Jeff, absolutely. So that we have done hundreds of these programs, learnings from them, learnings from the test beds, working with the partner ecosystem is what we get out through the IIC. Jeff, how do you reflect similar learnings on an implementation guide around water, energy?
So, I mean, I think this slide says it, pretty straightforwardly. It's an ecosystem play, as Jay said. This isn't about us sort of in our individual silos selling individual products. That we need to think about the commonalities. What makes our solutions similar? What are the key guiding principles? What's the reference architectures and the elements that you need to make sure that are in every single element? If we can align on that, then let's just let the companies fight it out over who's got the best technology stack, right?
And the lowest price. And the lowest price.
The lowest price,
yeah. But make that information, as you said in your presentation, make that information bite-sized.
That's right.
That's what we're trying to do, ensure that people actually read that and actually follow the policies and actually understand exactly how they're going to build those systems.
Excellent. So key message, whatever learnings, whatever experimentation, whatever projects we are doing at IIC and the World Economic Forum, all of these implementation guides, test bed results, they're all out on the web. Please go take a look. And the implementation guides are formally get launched in near future. So you'll get to see a lot more learnings from us. Thanks again, Richard. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Jeff, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Learnings from IIC, Industry 4.0, and even World Economic Forum Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution is good. We'll consume that. But there are millions of people who are really smart, are contributing in many different ways. So one of the enterprise-grade crowdsourcing technologies is something we have called Topcoder. If you're not familiar with Topcoder, just Google Topcoder and you'll find it. 1 million contributors, 7,000 some challenges that are active. You put a problem out there, you want to do analytics on a particular self-optimized subsystem, and you see hundreds, if not thousands of people contributing an idea, a solution for that. That is one way to accelerate the rate of innovation. And we are moving rapidly in that space where we alone cannot create solutions. We have to work with the broader crowdsourcing and open sourcing world. We have done asset management across a broad swath of assets, but these are some of them that I'm sure you'll recognize, some assets that you own, either you manufacture or you use them. These kinds of assets, the way they are managed, the underlying principles and technology involved is very similar. It's about the use case and the business value that you realize in managing them. That is a little bit different. Let me get to real examples of customers that we have worked with. Last year when I was here on stage, I had with me Dale Stout from Weatherford, had Rob Ravenstadt from Dish, and Paul Sheridan from Roche. They all talked about, the Weatherford guy was very detailed about how an edge gateway is put together, how analytics, because he's in the drilling business, oil wells, way distributed out in geographic domain, you have to manage them. So the complexity of the edge we understood from Dale last year. Dish has spectrum on NB-IoT worth billions of dollars, and we talked a lot about communication technologies. If you look at, I was at MWC recently, the amount of acceleration that 5G is going to bring to IoT is significant. So communication we covered last year, and then with Paul, we talked about the remote services platform, on how we are helping deploy that. This year, we'll talk about the analytics piece. I had mentioned that we'll go towards analytics, insights, visualization, more AI, cognitive type of capabilities. So we will talk about the hosting, the platform, and the enterprise tier. So the further 3 elements of the stack upstream. Let me introduce Peter Nilsson from Xylem. Peter, if you can join me on stage, please. Welcome. Peter didn't have to travel much. He just came from Stockholm, close by. Welcome, Peter.
Thank you.
Peter, we've been working together on doing some amazing work around your pumps. water was identified as a big area of focus from World Economic Forum, and the shortages were highlighted earlier. Non-revenue water, I know for sure, is about 30% from source to consumption that is lost. What are we doing together?
We are, is this on? Yep. We are working together with the design.
Sound, please. Yes.
Yes. So,
there you go. Thank you.
Yes, we are working on a solution, you could say, or a service for the last 4 years together with Design It. And they have been helping us making a user-friendly interface, because when we have been working with connecting devices for like 30 years, but with only experts. And when we take it to the broader scale of our employees and our customers, we need to have a better interface. It's an app close to the Facebook and all other apps that you have on your smartphone. And then it couldn't look like a home-built application. Yeah. So designers helped us with that for the last years, and now they're doing the second round of improvement.
So what? How do you classify asset management of a pump, or asset optimization, or self-optimization technologies? What is the scale at which you are trying to deploy this?
For the asset management part, I think that's the key system for our customers, which is the municipalities from our division side. And so we need to know how do we best feed data from our system, our subsystem that works in their infrastructure, into the asset management system so they can improve their operations. I think that's the key thing.
Absolutely. In fact, one more question for you is around the impact, sustainability impact, and the societal impact of the work that we are doing together.
So
how do you see the impact, like waste management and wastewater controls, when the pump doesn't function? What are the impacts that you can negate?
I think that if we look at today, we have a severe lack of water in the world, but we also have a much worse case. Is that another part of it is that 80% of the wastewater goes back into the sea and the lakes untreated. And that's a big pollution risk, and it's not so often in the media.
Yeah.
And if we can prevent that and also avoid uncloggings, and when it's a rainfall, it's overflowing into the rivers, and so I think it's a huge effort for the environment we're doing.
Peter, we look for more innovation, more co-innovation together. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me talk a little bit about cognitive capabilities as it applies to energy management. And let me invite Brendan on stage from Live. He's also traveled a little bit from Europe here, Netherlands. Please. Brendan, welcome. If you want to introduce yourself and what Live does, that would be great.
Yes, I can introduce me. I have a bit of strange background. I'm a plumber, and by coincidence, I came into the energy environment. By joke, we started 2 energy companies, and it became the first completely 100% sustainable energy companies in the Netherlands. Then we were also facing a lot of issues with the keeping the balance in the demand and the response. So now we're focusing on a company, but we want to scale up demand and response and energy information to consumers and small and medium enterprises. And we do that together with Wipro.
Excellent. So demand, supply, management, renewables is growing.
Yes.
You have power being drawn from the grid, lots of microgrids in the environment. How does IoT technology and specifically some components of AI, cognitive capabilities, play in this mix?
Yes. A lot of things we do not exactly know. The behavior of the energy consumption related to the production. So when we have intelligence analytics, we can charge and discharge batteries on a much efficient and much better way. So these high advanced solutions are really helping up to make new business models.
Excellent. In fact, the algorithms that are deployed, are they at the cloud level or the edge level, closer to where the power is either generated or consumed?
Good question. We have them now on a cloud level, And I also expect that there will become in the near future a bit more on the edge level. There are becoming now so much exchange between cloud and for example, the homes. So that's becoming energy inefficient. So when we have the knowledge to make more complex things on the edge part, I expect it will happen.
Excellent. Brendan, anything you want to ask the ecosystem in terms of what they need to do different for us?
What they do different. What I'm seeing, for example, we do a lot of, we try to do a lot of with batteries, home storage. When I look in the media, at every corner of the street I can buy a battery. But when I actually want to buy a battery, it seems really difficult. So for example, everybody knows Tesla, and 99% of people, their market share of batteries is 1%. So I think, in my opinion, it's a bit a threat when we have a too big announcement in the media and we cannot meet that expectation for consumers. Consumers do not understand why you cannot deliver a battery. I see it all in the media. Yeah? They cannot deliver. The factory is not open. So I think it's very important that we can do a lot. It's nearby, but we must create the correct expectations by consumers.
Excellent. Brendan, thanks for your wisdom and looking forward to more collaborations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next guest on stage is Rama from India. You must have heard of Silicon Valley and Bangalore. That's all a nice, huge city. It's called Electronic City Township Authority. Welcome.
Thank you.
What I'm going to ask Rama is, this is a smart city. There are a lot of smart people working in it, but at the same time, there is a huge set of technologies, use cases that are deployed for smart campus and city in ELCIA. Could you introduce yourself, please?
Actually, I run the Electronic City Industrial Township Authority. Actually, it's an area declared by the government of Karnataka in India as a self-governed entity. That means it's about 900 acres. It has got more than 300 taxpayers, more than 150, 60 companies, including all the bigwigs of the industry, both IT and manufacturing. And we manage the entire estate, be it water management, street light management, waste management, wastewater management, and air quality management, surveillance, and incident management, any complaints management. Everything a city has to do is integrated into this. So about, I think 2 years back, we just were thinking of how to make this real a model township. It's self-government. My dream, or our dream, is to really replicate this into all the industrial townships, possibly in India and maybe elsewhere. So we were doing waste management with one company, and air quality with another company, street light management with another company, and we had a lot of information, data available with us, and some of it was analyzed by the applications, and individually the people in charge were capable of understanding what to do next and things like that. Just a small example, I have time?
Yes, absolutely.
Small example of waste management you take. When we collect waste, we should know what kind of waste we are collecting from individual companies, and what kind of waste we are dumping, what kind of waste we are able to recycle and things like that. I mean, these are very mundane day-to-day stuff. And what we did was, we had the collection vehicles being monitored. We had the actual weight of the waste at source, at the companies, how much dry waste they are giving, how much wet waste they are giving, how much reject waste we are giving. And then progressively, we set targets to these companies. The next 3 months, you have to reduce by 20% the reject waste. You have to increase the recyclable waste or reusable waste and things like that. So this creating awareness was possible by having the data, information, whether it is wastewater or waste or any other street. For example, we used to get a lot of complaints on street lights. This whole street light is not working at some hour and things like that. So for these, we wanted to get data and understand what is happening and create a correct solution for that. And that's when we met Wipro team, and they suggested, why don't you integrate all of them into one platform so that it will become a city platform, so that you will be having handle on everything that is happening, so that the solutions can be, there are many solutions can be interconnected and things like that. So we started working on it. Today, we have all these, whatever I spoke to you, on a single platform, and we are able to sort of, any complaint from any of these are coming to us, and we are able to provide solutions to those things.
Excellent. So what Rama just mentioned is all of these use cases, water management, transportation, incident management, light management, street light management, all of these are being acquired from the edge, put it into one common data lake, and then the analytics and insights and visualization and even the service lifecycle management about each ticket and resolution, all that is done in one complex environment. It is a massive city. Hundreds of thousands of people come in and out, very dynamic.
More like 2 lakh employees are there.
2 lakh employees, high-tech employees. Everybody is connected and smart and connected. So from a technology standpoint, what would you expect this ecosystem of technology providers and consumers to enable for us?
Actually, I was listening to Jeff talking a little earlier, and he was telling implementation is the key, and the implementation is yet to take off in many cases. I think it's very important that the technologists really understand what the city needs or what the user needs. And for us also as a governing people, we also should understand what really the citizen needs. It's technology is, it's all nice to hear and things like that, but what the person on the street needs. He wants to know, like, when I can travel without traffic congestion, whether I can get clean water, what I'm using, energy consumption, or whatever it is, or waste. Where do I throw my waste? How do I manage my waste? So many mundane stuff he wants to know. So the exact use cases you have to really create for the specific city or specific campus. What happens is what is applicable in Barcelona will not be applicable in Electronic City, or maybe in Tumkur in some other village or whatever it is. So it is very important to have a continuous dialogue with the end user and customize and create things. And one more important thing, what I have observed is, when you say that I'll do this platform and technology and things like that, there is a decision-making body to allocate money for this. So the moment you say big dollars or big euros, people will say, oh, skeptical. So what we have worked with is, actually we have done that. We have started with small, and also the regular thing, the infrastructure piece which we have to do, anyway we have to do, whether you call it smart or otherwise, that you manage it yourself. But only the smart city, whatever, like the software part and the integration part and things like that are the additional things which you have to do for IoT business. So you have to do a smart way of getting budgets.
Yes, bite-sizing programs, doing the right focus on who is it going to impact, exactly. What is the outcome that you want to realize is the way to go. Thank you again so much, Rama. Appreciate your time. Let me quickly cover two of my clients could not make it here. Sulzer makes cool pumps. What they have been trying to do is to create advanced analytics from the volumes of high-velocity data that comes from all these pumps. So we're working with them to create an analytics workbench which does the insight creation in a very, what you call, agile and discovery-led manner. It's an experimentation. It's called a workbench. You may start with 200 ideas, that nuggets of insights that you want to generate, but may end up with like a few, handful of them. But the process, repetitive experimentation process, is what we do with them. You can go out there and check out the blue box, which is their advanced analytics solution, and understand a little bit more. There's another customer that is yellow and has lots of construction equipment out there, and they're rated one of the top brands in the world, especially in India and in the SAARC region. They started this IoT journey a little bit earlier. And we have a platform, the LiveLink platform, that we built for them. There's about 90,000 of these machines that are smart and are connected. And incident management, utilization, operational efficacies, critical machine alerts, improving the utilization and the value of how these machines are utilized. Think about a simple track and trace use case. Where is the machine? Just finding an asset itself is a big deal. The number of assets that people have, you go to any airport, you'll be surprised how many assets are floating around in the bag that people don't know where they are. Every time they need one, they find it easier to buy another piece rather than to locate the one they already have because of the complexity involved. Track and trace is a simple use case, is a sub-use case of asset management. This is a classic production system where business value is realized, and also the value chain is very unique. Between the OEM, the vehicle manufacturer, the distributor and the reseller, and the person who actually rents these construction equipment, each one has a different value to derive in this value chain. So for example, a renter would want 99% uptime. I don't get a machine to rent and then not see it function. Predictive maintenance of the machine from the OEM or the reseller is also very important. So the different value propositions are different for very different stakeholders. So understanding them and then creating a system that enables value distribution is the key to success. You can look them up by just Googling JCB LiveLink. Let me talk a little bit about what are the types of services we do. I know Rama mentioned about the strategy part. The technology part is inherently internal to us. But in terms of the business architecture, the solutioning work, we do the upstream set of activities. We also do the platform development with literally every partner, hosting, end-to-end security implementation, testing services, command center, analytics, insights, across the gambit of work that you need to do to complete an IoT program. That's our focus area. So where is the puck headed? What I see, especially for smart, connected products, the design engineering elements, how is the product designed? Because that's where you put in the sensors. That's where you comprehend how the product, what type of data and payload you're going to collect and process is a function of how the product is designed. So if you have ALM, PLM systems, you understand how the design layer is brought in to create the digital twin. That will clearly now work closely with the as manufactured and the as used part. Today you see a lot of digital twins where products are out there in the field, data is being acquired, you have a digital equivalent of the physical asset, and you overlay the ops data on top of the design data, and then you get to see how the machine is being utilized. So there's a lot of synergy between as designed and as used, but these days there's a lot of conversation around how the product is manufactured. Because of the quality and issues, what you see in the field is a function of how it was manufactured as well as a function of how it was designed. So the integration and play between these three things, as designed, as manufactured, and as used, will come to bear in the coming years. So next year when I'm standing here, maybe I will talk a lot about how these three layers got overlaid on top. And I could figure out how a product will perform. Will it be calibrated to the optimal performance characteristics it was designed to operate at, or less than that? So it's a very interesting time bringing these three spaces of technologies together in the coming year. Let me wrap by saying that if you really want to see a testbed implementation that both Jeff and Richard alluded to, as you walk in, you can see the connected worker testbed. Very interesting testbed. it is bottom line safety and high societal impact. It's out there in the front. We have multiple partners which helped us build the solution together. We have a booth in the middle between Microsoft and Intel, and have 6 or so solutions out there. Asset management, the one that I'm talking about, connected spaces, smart cities, smart campus kind of solutions, energy intelligence, the one that we just discussed earlier. Top Coder is the crowdsourcing platform. We have cold chain solutions where you can do for pharmaceutical companies and for any kind of use cases, tracking, tracing, and connecting cold chain. Cold chain actually is a good example of blockchain technologies and AI and IoT technologies that is being demonstrated there. And of course, we have the auto insights and the connected vehicle solution. 6 very interesting solutions for you to touch and feel and experience in our booth. Also, last slide here. Want to just talk about the sessions. The top row is done. I'm the last guy on that line. You can see more sessions. There are 5, 6 more sessions. Command and control for the smart cities. You have AI session later today. We have the digital twin session. You have product to surface transformation. Especially the design session is very exciting because it's all about UI and UX and experiences. And then we have a IoT and finance session tomorrow. Please find the time, join us, attend, and thank you for your time. Appreciate it.